Hey everybody, welcome to the Anthony and Todd Show. We are a weekly podcast that critiques and memes music. I'm your host Trevor, aka Madlib, and Oh No present GTA 6, aka Mura Masa the Demon Blade for the Nintendo Wii. That's all I could think of. Like, I used to read Nintendo Power, and that was one of the songs that they covered, or one of the games that they covered, like, really heavily back in 2010. And now he works with Slow Tie. I'm joined by my ever-attentive co-host, my best friend, my pal, my amigo, my droog, Vincent.
A.K.A. music to beat your meat to.
This is episode 124 of the Anthony and Todd Show, an episode we would like to call Music to Actually Be Murdered By, a.k.a. Eminem's Revival. I don't really understand the title of that.
It's because it's the Alfred Hitchcock album that's being sampled through.
I just think that's stupid. To be murdered by, but like not murdered to. Like the music is going to do the murdering.
Yeah, I think that's what it's implying.
That means it's so shitty that I'm going to die.
That was actually Kamikaze and Revival.
This is the third. This is the kill shot.
But not aimed at MGK.
No.
This time just randomly shooting into a crowd. Yes. Which he does on this.
Yes.
Oh.
It comes full circle.
Time to go over to this week. We're covering the latest projects from Mac Miller with Circles, Eminem with Music to Be Murdered By, which is in reality the only thing to be murdered by is my meat.
It's a knife.
My meat's going to be murdered. After that, Mura Masa with R.Y.C, Raw Youth Collage.
Not college.
Not college. I thought it was college at first. And then finally, The Professionals, which is the team up of Madlib and Ono, two brothers, or two people I always consistently forget are brothers, team up as The Professionals on their self-titled debut.
The Professional.
Before we start, you can check out the Anthony and Todd Show on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Anthony Todd. You can find us at youtube.com/the Anthony and Todd Show. You can find us on Patreon, patreon.com/the Anthony and Todd Show. And you can find us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, and Spotify by searching the Anthony and Todd Show on your favorite podcast listening service. Without any further ado, it's time for us to come full circle into this new posthumous Mac Miller release.
Circles.
Mac Miller, or I don't know, would you consider him a legend at this point? Do you think he...
Yeah, but only because he died.
Is it a thing where it's like... I don't know, because like I think in some aspects he is, but like...
I don't know, you used to just make like... Mac Miller, American rapper, used to make like college rap, like a lot of like college campuses were just bumping his music all over the place. And then at some point he became like a huge voice in like more jazz rap and abstract rap. I would say specifically around like Divine Feminine time back in 2016. And then last year releasing...
2 years ago.
Or 2 years ago. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it's 2020 now. 2 years ago, releasing Swimming, which was more of a down-to-earth album that dealt with, like, mental illness and
more just feeling like you're just
alone, drowning.
Yeah. I think it had a cheesy character, but that kind of worked in his favor. I think there were some elements that just kind of fell flat. Some of the songs felt too long. They didn't progress as well as I wanted it to. Some of the ideas didn't seem as focused as can be. But I think the character of Mac, what he presented, not through his lyricism, was consistent and consistently enjoyable.
Yeah.
He tragically passed, I think, a few months later after tragically ODing. And this album was left as... essentially his family brought together Jon Brion, who did production with Mac and was working on this album while he was still alive. And apparently, like, from what I heard during an interview I think he did with Zane Lowe, he finished like 9 out of the 12 tracks, and the ones that he didn't have, that Mac didn't show him yet, he finished, or at least they're near completion. And Jon Brion, mostly known for teaming he's known for scores of like Eternal Sunshine, of The Spotless Mind, but more importantly, working with Kanye West on Late Registration. He's just a great producer around, just insanely talented. And on this, the pairing works really well. And hearing about how Jon inspired Mac to more believe in himself was really nice. And get him to just like trust his own instincts was really interesting, because the influence of Jon Brion isn't just like him playing all the instruments. He tried to force Mac to do more himself, like on the track Once a Day, which I encourage you to hear a little bit snippet of the Zane Lowe interview, because it shows how much the relationship in a short time he had an effect on Jon, which was really nice. This album it was always meant to be a companion to Swimming, follow the same things, coming full circle in a sense, but also
swimming in circles.
Also the idea of life and death, the circle of life. And I think it is stronger lyrically. It's not the most groundbreaking, but I think the consistency in themes really works. I think this is probably Mac's most consistent project to date. I think Good AM and Faces are two of the projects that stand out at the top of his discography, and I think this tops them. I think he put out with this, he was working on what was is probably going to be considered his best project, and I think his most ambitious project to date, because literally one of the saddest things about Mac Miller's death was not just losing the individual, but losing the potential that was there. And like, because Swimming just set so many bricks that I felt like could have been stacked.
Yeah.
Instead, we just had all these bricks made and we didn't know what to do with them. But I really wanted some closure in that aspect, and I felt like I was never going to get. And even hearing tracks that were dropped after his death, like features he did for the Free Nationals and 88 Keys, cemented that he was going somewhere lyrically, very fluent in the ideas and the processes of the themes that he's touching on both this and Swimming.
Yeah.
So it felt like he was striving to become a better musician and lyricist in himself. And on this, I think we're getting a very lighthearted, somber, which is not only somber because of Mac's death, but I think this album, it has that like emptiness, and it's hollow, even amplified by his death. It's hollow on its own, but when you amplify the backstory and the tragicness to this album, makes it more heartbreaking. It's hollow, it's empty, but still warm at points. I think you get a different shade of Mac. It's not just all this jazzier or soulful material. You get moments like which he kind of goes back to his like college rap days, or things that were more appealing to like mass pop audiences. Like it reminds me a bit of Party on Fifth Ave in a sense.
Really, I think like there's maybe only 2 or 3 tracks that I'd be like, that's a straight up rap track. The rest of these are like way more singing. You can like feel that. I feel like with that singing, you can almost like feel the pain as well. It's sometimes like hard to pick up on emotions when somebody is rapping, but he sings, I think, really well. Like some of his best vocals to date.
I think we described it as like not Cajun accent, because it's like he talks like he has a bunch of marbles in his mouth at times, and it works. Like it gives him this distinct sound palette, and it works. And I think he really amplifies that to like a point where it's emotionally breaking, which is really nice, and you can empathize with the voice and tone that he's producing. I think moments like Everybody, which is a cover of an R.Y.C. song, is truly just like the core of what this album is about circles of life and death, and how it's going to be fun while it lasts, but it's going to end at some point, and you're just going to have to accept that. And it's literally just a circle in it. Circles feels so somber, hollow, and just lightly building, like it's just the start of something. This is the perfect beginner to this record. Once a Day is a really interesting track once you know the story behind it and hear how it made Jon Brion feel emotionally and the recording process about it. I think you should do some research on your own and watch the interview you did with Zane Lowe, because I don't think I can really emphasize what that track probably means, but on this album, before I knew the story, feels pretty short. And some of these tracks don't feel like the fullest fledged out musical ideas, but they're still pretty solid in composition throughout everything else. I think if Max was alive, we would see a little bit more polish on some of these topics.
Oh, I definitely think so. Some of these tracks end like really abruptly, specifically like Once a Day ends really quick, and then I was like, oh, is that the last track?
Yeah.
It was really weird. And then I think like Blue World specifically, I love that track, but the choruses are obviously like reused over and over. Like he only recorded one chorus.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty obvious that happened. But yeah, I agree. Like if he were still alive, I think it's fair to say there would be like a lot more polish and probably like more emotion that went into this, a lot of re-recording. But from what we have here,
It's still pretty good.
it seems like Mac was like really close to finishing this. Honestly, like a lot of his verses are very fleshed out.
Yeah.
They don't feel like they're unfinished, and that like the family had to take too many liberties with deciding what this album was going to be about.
This is one of those posthumous albums in an age where we have like the releases of Little Peeps and XXXTentacion's music. This feels like, it doesn't feel like cash grab. It feels like, oh, this is finished, or it's like near finished. Hey, John, can you help us out? And go through his archives and see if there's anything that can complement like the remainder of this album.
Yeah.
But it's tastefully done. I think Mac would have wanted it almost this way. I think Good News is probably his most ambitious track in the sense of lyricism. I think this is where he really hones his skills, and he really portrays the emptiness he was feeling, and also a feeling of like distrust towards everyone else, and not feeling like he could relate to people in the sense that they only wanted the best out of him and they didn't want to have to deal with the worst, and they only wanted good news when it was available to them. They don't want Mac when he's at his worst. And it really amplified the tenderness that this record has.
Yeah, you can really feel like the struggle that he was going through at the time of this recording. Like some tracks there's one track specifically, I think it might be I Can See, where he like specifically says like, here I am, I'm at the end. Like you can see me like struggling. And that's just really, it puts in a whole new light once somebody's gone. Like it's too late for them. It's too late to feel a certain way or check in with them or anything, because like they're gone, but you can feel the struggles. It makes me specifically feel like, how did we not see that?
Yeah.
How did anybody not see that coming when he was obviously like making music like this?
One thing I think this album does really well is it gives a sense of closure. Which I don't know. I think a lot of his fans needed that, and I feel like it really just, if it needs to be a bookend to the remainder of his career, I think it really does a successful job at doing that.
It's a stretch, but I almost compare this to David Bowie's Black Star.
In some ways, yeah.
And like specifically the track Lazarus, where he's like talking about...
Because like, here's the thing, it works almost too well as a closer, and that's the scary part about it.
Exactly.
Like Black Star, like...
Black Star was eerily put together to where it would be a closer, but this is very haunting, I feel like. And it's a great closer. Swimming was kind of inconclusive, I felt like. But Circles almost makes it feel like, well, he's obviously struggling, but it ends like very peacefully. There's a very like peaceful vibe to this record.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that because it paints Mac in a very positive light.
Yeah.
I think it was just a great career closer. Like, even if Mac was still alive and this was the last record that he put out, I'd be like, that's great.
Yeah.
There's nothing else that needs to be said.
Yeah. I think this really cements pretty much what he's standing for his entire career, and I think it's good. And yeah, it is like a Black Star because it's just so
it works so well.
It's creepily eerily. Yeah, I think that's it. That's all I really need to say. Keep in mind, scores futile and meaningless. Right now, this is like an 8+.
Yeah, I'll give this an 8.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I was going to say, hope hear from more from Mac in the future, but
I still hope. I hope he comes to me 13 Mac Millers standing around my bed, standing guard around my bed.
Well, I hope Jon Brion gets... Eventually we hear from him in some capacity, because he pops up every once in a while in some studio album associated with hip-hop or R&B in some fashion. So
yes.
Are you ready to get murdered by music?
Yes.
Time to go over the latest Eminem album, Music to Be Murdered By. Woo! Ooh, not really woo, but more like eh.
Eminem.
Detroit MC.
Yeah. I mean, been making music for a long time, especially under the name like Slim Shady. Made tons of like really great records, and then we got to Recovery probably like 2005.
Which in post respect, it's not terrible, because I think like right now he's in a recovery phase.
Personally, like I like Recovery,
because like the singles,
I think there was good stuff on Recovery. I think that the sentiment behind Recovery is extremely powerful, And then at some like he stopped making music, and then he went back to making music, and like Marshall Mathers LP2, and I remember specifically like when that came out, and there's good tracks.
There's
on
good
that.
tracks. There's
I don't think it's like a good record, but it almost like ushered in this new phase where he was like, yeah, fuck recovery, I'm going back to what I was making at the very beginning. And then like we just started down a really dark road.
Here's the deal, he's not like going full goofy like it was Recovery at times, or For Cheesy. And like Marshall Mathers LP like took a back step, and he's like, I'm gonna be more edgy, but he doesn't do full horrorcore like he was at the beginning.
I guess that's like what I'm saying is like he soft rebooted himself after he said like, I'm going to take some time off, and I'm going to like quit the drugs. I'm going to take care of my daughter. And I remember like back in 2005, I was like, good for him. Like I respect that. I really respected him like as an artist and as a guy for doing that. And then all of a sudden he was like, yeah, whatever. Like I completely went back on that. And then like his soft reboot is nowhere close to like what he was trying to do. Cause like I enjoyed early Eminem as well for what it was. There were like two separate voids that filled. Like those were two separate hungers that were quelled. But then he started making like Revival was awful. Revival, and I knew that he thought that was the greatest thing he'd ever put out.
If you know what's the greatest thing we ever put out? Probably a Revival review, because I think I'm the most angsty I've ever been in my life doing that. So I definitely check that review out because it's the most fun. But that album was fucking terrible.
It was awful. And then Kamikaze came out as a special release or surprise release, and he was like, you didn't like Revival? Well, fuck you.
It's essentially lyrical. He literally is just taking shots at anyone who dissed Revival, and Revival's still the worst of the two because it just is painfully trying to be pop rap, but is failing in every known aesthetic, but still being completely mindless to what made himself great in the beginning and any nuance he had in the beginning. And then Kamikaze was taking that, yelling at everyone for no reason. People like MGK, even though we got the good kill shot out of it afterwards, like why start beef there?
He didn't deserve that.
Like, not because MGK is like an amazing person, but still
he stood for all of us and fell.
No, that's Soulja Boy.
Soulja Boy still stands for all of us, but MGK stood in the line of fire. That's like the meme with the military guy like that with all the like knives in his back. That's MGK. We're on the floor sleeping.
Just saying he deserved a couple of those knives, but not all of them.
I think I'm gonna make that meme.
So we got God damn it. We got a new Eminem album, and I was just like,
it was about time he cropped up again, honestly, yeah. But that means I didn't want him.
Like I have to ruin this decade too, and honestly, this is not that bad. It's not good.
No,
it's definitely not good.
It's not
still
good.
An F,
I won't say it's not that bad because it is bad, but it's not. You're letting Eminem brainwash. You're letting him invest in your ears and nesting.
It's honestly like, it's not the worst album I ever reviewed this week. I'll say that too. I don't think it's that bad.
Well, I didn't do the show with Jonathan, so
yeah,
it is the worst album I've
It's super long. It's super pointless at times. Eminem's still stuck in a middle ground.
Eminem's extremely edgy. He wants to say the N-word so bad, but he's not allowed. So he's got Royce the 5'9" to do it for him. He has not mastered how to make an album of a reasonable length.
Yeah.
It's 20 tracks at an hour and 4 minutes. Like, we're still clocking in over an hour. That's too much. That's way too much Eminem. That's more than I've ever asked for. Ever asked for.
It's like half the tracks weren't on here. I think it would be way better.
Yeah, I don't know why he thought so many of these tracks would be so good. Anyway, Eminem thinks that because he can rap fast, he's good. Eminem at one point was good, and you still got fans that are like, oh, he outdid Rap God. He rapped so much faster on Majesty. Well, okay, like, we'll just throw Rap God away. Like, Majesty is the track now. And then on this one, you're like, oh, he raps so much faster on Godzilla.
Yeah.
Godzilla with Juice WRLD. Well, we'll just throw Majesty away. Like, I don't know. It's like he's trying to set a new world record every time. Just because somebody can rap fast does not mean that they're good.
It just means they can speed up their words. doesn't mean any of the lyrical content is of any worth.
And you could ask,
and a lot of it
ask
isn't.
any Eminem fan, like, oh, like Eminem rapped fast in that line. What did he say? I don't know. It's like it doesn't matter. I don't know.
So let's talk about. So this is inspired by the Alfred Hitchcock album "Music We Murder By," and that's where like an alternate album cover comes from with like him putting the gun.
He's got the gun to his head in one, and then he's got the one with the shovel
because he's gonna
dig
his own grave.
A berry.
No, it's Triple H. If Triple H was on this album, it'd be 10 out of 10, but it isn't. So some of the choices he does after making such a big deal about doing SoundCloud rap on the last album. Who appears?
Juice WRLD.
Juice WRLD. Young M.A.
Juice WRLD. I'm mad that this is the last feature that we've got. I'm sure there's one lined up for later this year, but right now this is the final Juice WRLD feature. And I'm mad about
his performance is pretty weak, but honestly, the track isn't like anything that kill his career.
I just don't want Eminem to have that.
There's some weird choices like Q-tips on this thing. How did a Q-tip was like, yes, put me on this album along with Black Thought?
I don't know. To me, like Eminem's a legacy figure at this point. Honestly, like he really is. I can't fight that, and I'm sure that they just wanted to be on there because they're also legacy figures.
And keep in mind, this
is like from one all-time great rapper to another. Will you be on my album? And they're like, sure.
The track works out pretty well. The only thing
the only thing that didn't get a feature was ODB on the chorus.
Q-Tip's auto-tune's a little bit too much, but it's not anything to destroy the track. I think it would probably be better if he didn't have the pitching. Anderson .Paak's on here, and he collaborates pretty well. It's not an RMP scenario where like he's able to run the same snuff with him, but it's like Anderson .Paak only is helping that track. You got Ed Sheeran in one of the worst songs I've heard in a while, but also one of the worst songs that is just stupidly enjoyable.
I like it because it's so stupid.
This song is terrible. Eminem, because Ed Sheeran's just doing his typical performance, so he's acting like this is completely normal, non-cheesy. Like, he's not trying to be a hard ass or anything.
No, that's the worst thing about this. Go on.
But Eminem comes through with lines about being this club, meeting a girl, and then going home and, like, having the sex. But it has some cringy lines like, serious though? Jokes aside, how you doing? You straight? She said, no, I'm bi. She said, are you drunk? I said, no, I'm high. I'm checking out the chick. She said, no, so am I. Like, what the fuck? Like, this is just, it's like just stupid. It's cheesy. It's like recovery territory of just like, it's like that one track he did, what the fuck? Crack Your Bottle or something like that.
Crack a bottle, let your body wobble. Yeah, I remember that one.
It's just
I think that's my biggest problem with this record is that Eminem is rapping about just making incredibly cheesy, dated references. Like it's like he's still stuck in the 90s. And like when he was in the 90s making jokes about like Carson Daly and things, like that works. Fred Durst, that works. Make a Moby jab, everybody gets it. But like now, hearing him talk about like Beyonce and Jay-Z makes me really uncomfortable.
What's that fucking line he has? Ape shit like Beyonce and Jay-Z.
I mean, that just makes me really uncomfortable. It feels like
so
something from my past has like emerged and sees the world now and is like, I would compare like you know like the Bubsy games where he just keeps making like really dated references. That's what this is like. And it makes some like seriously cringy stuff and like jokey feeling tracks.
And then he tries to
he makes
serious.
like really edgy serious tracks. Like Darkness, I know Fantano loves this track. It makes me really uncomfortable.
Well,
the sample in the back is stupid. The sound of silence.
Okay, keep in mind, it's not Cranberries in Your Head. So I got to give him a credit for that.
You know, okay, he at least chose better source material, but he was like, I don't know, the kind of mass shooting that he's describing on here is just all too real, and Eminem fits that bill. His fans fit that bill so well that it's way too realistic for me.
Referencing or trying to create a shooting in a track I've seen a worse example. That Trippie Redd Bang track, that was pretty bad because that didn't have any point. You just went around killing people. That was pretty edgy. This is not the worst example. I still don't like it.
No, because it's like, I feel like Trippie's example is better because at least it's mindless, but Eminem's giving voice and thought to a mass shooter. And like,
at least he's trying to critique it in some form, or at least make a statement.
It doesn't feel like it. The statement is very convoluted. I don't care for that one.
But we can both agree Stepdad is just too edgy.
Stepdad is
he's too old to be this edgy.
The worst. I hate that track. It's literally like, when the chorus came on the first time, I was like, there is no way he's gonna do it. I hate, and I was like, he's not gonna do it. I've got more faith in him that he's not gonna do it. My stepdad. He did it. And then he rhymes stepdad with stepdad, and that's just not right. Way too edgy. I did not like that.
He comes back on some of the things he said about Tyler and Earl Sweatshirt, track No Regrets with Don Toliver. I'm really interested in this Don Toliver album that's coming out because I don't think he can support a record on his own because he was okay on the Jack Boys.
He's good at features, but
he just seems like an artist that should just be a feature or at least be like part of a collective, not just like
yeah.
It doesn't he doesn't have any distinctive qualities to make himself, but he's fine on here. He said Eminem says I can make a mistake and erupt and say make a mistake and erupt and end up taking a dump or saying some dumb shit thinking I run shit, misplacing my anger and misplacing my anger and give enough to Earl entirely to the creator, the brunt. Should have never made a response. Should have aimed for the fake ones. MGK's fake. Lil Yachty's not fake.
He took the shot for us.
But yeah, the end, I Will's okay. With Slaughterhouse minus Joe Budden.
Yeah.
Why is it I only hear about Joe Budden when he's like talking about
on
Eminem?
the best rap list?
I don't understand. I don't understand that, but there's some material that's just okay. There's some material that's funny, cringy. There's nothing like super cringy. The only thing super cringy is him still upholding the opinion that like Revival and Kamikaze are like worth it. That's like the worst thing. But at least he comes back on the homophobia.
That's like the worst about it. Like going
but that's not consistent. That's like the first two tracks.
His like older career. I've talked about this before. I'll say it again because it's the third Eminem review. His old career where he was like his Slim Shady persona. He gave those kind of like weird, off-putting comments to a persona, and Slim Shady was saying it, not Eminem, and that's great. And you can make fun pop rap, comedy rap, horrorcore stuff that's like under the name Slim Shady.
But here's the thing: it was also defined as horrorcore.
Yeah, he was also
stuck in that
young.
Yeah,
and
he had right to hate his stepdad because he was only like
he was just edgy. He was just a young edgy dude, and now like. Or then after that, like, Recovery, while it was, like, kind of cheesy, I thought that it, like, was powerful, like, Not Afraid. I'm sure that took, like, a ton of guts to say, like, I'm done with my old lifestyle that I've been living for so long. I'm getting rid of the Slim Shady name. I'm getting rid of the Eminem name. Like, I'm just going to be a father. And I was like, cool. And then he came back, and now he's trying to, like, suggest, like, yeah, I never left. Yeah, I've been the best. Yeah, I'm the greatest rapper alive, and I, like, have never made a misstep in any of my music. Like, I've never made a bad record. I've never made a bad song. I'm the best there's ever been. You guys miss me. I'm going to save you from SoundCloud. Like, no. Sorry. Now he's like 50-some trying to justify making the kind of music that he made when he was in his earlier career. Like when the Beatles got more experience in life, they didn't go back to making I Wanna Hold Your Hand. They're making like way different, more orchestrated, abstract
Paul McCartney said he wanted to come on me.
Yes, he did.
I love that joke. That's the joke that keeps on giving.
And then he said, fuck you.
I can't tell if he wanted to fuck me or fum me.
I don't know. That's the thing. It's like Eminem is now 50-something, and now he's back to making music about his stepdad. Yeah. He's back to making like shooting jokes. He's back to making really edgy just like, I don't know, really edgy tracks for no reason.
Yeah.
And he can't justify that now.
Yeah, there's just, this thing's so fucking long. Eminem has his normal quirks, the fast rapping, the stamina, lamina, the traditional vocals with the venom. He doesn't do that on this album, but whatever the equivalent of. Sometimes his vocals are better than others. Sometimes they're terrible, like on Stepdad. Overall, this is not like in the realm of Kamikaze. It's definitely not in the realm of Revival. I think this is pretty middle of the road. I don't think there's really anything super that like destroys the flow of this album besides the fucking length. But like sitting through this, it didn't feel like pulling teeth like Kamikaze did. I think it's just straight in the middle.
Lengthwise, I think it did. I'm gonna give it like 4.
Wait, I didn't do the intro.
I
Keep in mind the scores.
That's
You
a 4.
telling me this right now.
It's a 4.
I think it's like a 45. Yeah.
45?
45 out of 10. I fucking love this album because it made me, my meat was murdered during it. Yeah, and that's it. I don't know. I hope Eminem improves in some step. In some step is the right step because it's not past the 0. Like,
I don't know. To me, like, I think he should just own up that he's been making dumb music and do a little bit of growing up.
Or here's the thing: not even fucking make reference.
Don't make music.
Just don't even reference it. I think that's probably the best part. It just like give us moments like where he's collaborating with like Q-Tip and Royce da 5'9" or Young M.A. because those are literally some of the most harmless moments.
At this point, a grown man would have swallowed their pride and just said, like, I made a misstep, but he's refusing to do so.
Yeah. Now it's time for us to make a collage at the college.
Do you have the old People magazines to cut out?
Time to go to the latest Mura Masa album, R.Y.C. Raw Youth Collage. Food review. That was just, I don't know why I said it that way, but...
All right, if you can tell me how to pronounce that, I'll say it.
Guernsey. I'm assuming. I don't know.
Where is that?
I think maybe on this. It's probably Europe, definitely, but I don't know where. And I can look it up. Here, continue.
Okay, Mura Masa is a based electronic producer, songwriter, and multi-instrumentalist who's probably best known for his single "Lovesick" with A$AP Rocky.
Oh, Guernsey is one of the Channel Islands in the English Channel near the French coast, and it was a self-governing British Crown dependency.
Interesting. Okay, well, he's from Europe.
Yep, somewhere in there.
Somewhere around there. Anyway, he's probably most well known for his single "Lovesick" with A$AP Rocky, as well as his work with Slow Tie on Doorman.
Yeah,
off of Nothing Great About Britain. Bob, what does Mura Masa know about Britain? He's from Guernsey.
He's from Hennessy.
Just kidding. I love you, Mura Masa.
Trevor hearts you. So I was really interested to hear this because the single with Slow Tie, also his last production work on Slow Tie's album, the track "Deal With It" is really...
You didn't say it right.
Deal with it!
Deal with it. No. Deal with it. With. Yeah, there you go. Deal with it.
I was just interested in seeing what this would be because I was assuming I know he sings. I also know his last album had Designer on it, so I didn't know how much curation was going to be on this. Like, if you look at the features of the last record, Designer, Charlie XCX, Damon Albarn.
Damon Albarn,
Christine and the Queens.
Sounds like he's on this record, too.
So basically, what I got out of a lot of this is a lot of similar impact of like a Brockhampton, Kevin Abstract. I think
British Brockhampton.
I don't think it's like there's enough nuance though. It's more just taking from like the contemporary stylings of like a moody pop R&B is.
To me, this is like almost bedroom pop, like very youthful pop.
Youthful melancholic.
Pop punk because it's not, but also it's got kind of like punk elements.
It has the emo like twang.
Yeah, like emo kind of thing. The opening track, Raw Youth Collage, as well as No Hope Generation, I think are both pretty good tracks. The first one reminds me almost of like a Pixies cut, like very much so like Where Is My
haircut?
Yeah, like How does a pixie cut even look?
It's just short hair. I think
You have a pixie cut.
No, I don't.
You have short hair.
No.
That's a pixie cut.
I think it's short hair on a girl. I think that's literally what the classification might be.
That's kind
I'll look it up. Let's do some more research.
I don't want to do any more research. Anyway, both of those tracks I found to be pretty endearing. I love that like guitar twang on the Raw Youth Collage opening self-titled track. The track with Clara, I don't think I can do this again. I enjoyed it. I think Clara brings more emotion than she's brought in her entire solo career to this one feature. But also, I think the song is a little too long.
It's so long. It's weird that Mura Masa doesn't really appear on the track other than productionally. And I think I'm just lost. Not lost, but I'm just like emotionless when it comes to Clara at this point because I don't feel like she really delivers anything that's really worth her weight. Except for being weirdly, I don't know if you noticed this, but from one of the tracks off JPEG Mafia's album on Spotify, the video tile thing that they do, it's just a photo of Clara for some fucking reason. She has no attachment to that song.
That's very JPEG to do.
But I feel like, I don't know, a lot of times I feel like she just delivers the same performance whether the production of it or not is important, or the lyricism. I just think it's the same.
Yes.
I don't think it really does anything for me.
Also, you probably could have gotten any female voice on this track, but I like the addition of the female voice. I think is probably a good way to say that.
Pixie haircuts for thick hair are full of texture and manageable volume.
I could get a pixie cut. I think I'm going to.
You're get a pixie cut, yeah.
The track In My Mind is the longest cut on here, and I think it really shows, but also it's just Mura Masa showing off what he can do. And I enjoy that display.
Can we talk about how great the little skit is, a meeting?
I was going to talk about that at the end.
You want to?
Yeah.
I have a theory about the
Unless you want to do it right now.
I want to talk about it right now.
All right, these like lowercase letter tracks. So a meeting at an oak tree, Vicarious Living Anthem, and then that very end Nocturne for Strings and a Conversation are like almost little interludes into this album. And the first one, A Meeting at an Oak Tree, is narrated by Ned Green, and I love this story. It's very, because I want to say it's wholesome, but it's not wholesome. It's like very nostalgic. I just like to hear people.
So basically,
tell stories.
A guy almost gets caught having sex with his girlfriend, so he jumps out the window without any clothes, and except for his phone apparently, and
he's in a tree.
He hides behind the tree while her dad
in the tree.
Oh, he gets in the tree. I don't remember that part. And he texts his girlfriend, "Meet me at the oak tree with clothes and a banana."
No, it's banana.
And because he wants to put up his butthole.
I actually think it's a racist slur.
The banana?
No, what he's implying. Because he's in the trees.
That's like the dumbest joke that's been told today. And me and Jonathan have been outdoing each other, trying to tell the worst jokes of all time. So congratulations.
Thank you.
You win.
Tell Jonathan.
That one was not only a bit offensive, but bad.
No, it's good. At least that's what I thought when he told that.
Are you being serious? That's what you thought?
I didn't think it was racist. I just told you it was racist. But I thought because he was in the tree, he asked for a banana because he was comparing himself to a monkey. It's not racist at all.
Obviously, like, I was joking when I said he was going to fuck himself with a banana. He's going to eat it. Maybe. I don't know. Or just going to, like...
I think it's just for the joke. He was joking around with his girlfriend.
Hey, bring me a banana. I think a lot of the grooves on this, it gets kind of to a point where you almost get experimental pop with like a Charlie XCX 100 Gex type vibe, but not as bold. A little bit of that electronic twist to kind of bring a static or a type of distortion to the track. These last two tracks, Georgia, Live Like We're Dancing and Teenage Headache Dreams, featuring Georgia and Ellie Roswell, I think are pretty good. I think they basically sent this album to a climax, but my biggest problem with this album is I think the curation's good. I think the personality's good, and I think it fits the vibe. It reminds me a lot of what I liked about that last Vegan album, where it sets up a mood, it consistently puts out the mood, and it may not be completely unique to itself, but it sets out a pattern. You can sense some of the influences on its sleeve, or some of the contemporary influences that are in the genre, and it works. But at the end of the day, I think it's just there's nothing that really resonates with me, and that's the biggest problem. Like I like the environment, but other than that, I feel like I don't know. I've heard better of this. It's not bad because I think everything he sets up is solid. I guess except for the length of the Clara track. That's about it.
I would argue that the killer track on here is the Slow Tie track, but that doesn't really like fit in with the rest of the.
It's weirdly placed,
but it also I feel like really sets up a very like British.
I get it now.
Feeling.
So he asked her to get a banana, and then Slow Tie. It's like this. It's like he's taking on the persona of the character, and he says, "Deal with it. Give me a banana." Bitch. That was really
walking back through my old estate.
The Slow Tie track reminds me of like post-punk.
This is what Damon Albarn wishes he could be featured on.
It's also,
I can feel the like twang of him. I can feel his voice wanting to creep in there. Like he wasn't even part of recording. But
it's also if us Sleeper mods actually tried at certain points. This is kind of the sound I think they would establish, or times they've had.
I would listen to Sleeper mods then.
But I think Slow Tie is just oozing character. He's the one person on here that's just undeniable.
It's too fun. I just love that track.
He's too inescapable on this. The grooves are too much. The music video where he's just walking around is completely insane.
Yeah. I just feel like this album sets up a very like British feel to it. That helps it a lot. Meeting at the Oak Tree helps it a lot. Like, this sounds really stupid, but like hearing them talk, like hearing British people talk, like sets up that British environment. Like,
or more, I think for you, it's just a foreign environment.
A foreign environment? No.
That's what he wanted to put, the banana. He wanted to put it in this foreign environment.
Vicarious Living Anthem sounds very close to Dancing with Myself.
Yeah.
Like Billy Idol.
You showed that, it made me laugh. I didn't think about that. Also,
that's all I could think about.
Also, the guitar sounds like that, I Wish It Was Christmas Today song. I think the Strokes cover it. It was also on SNL. I forget who originally made it. I like this. I think it sets up a mood. I just think, I don't know, I want more nuance. It doesn't really
It's a lot of fun, I think.
It's fun. It's fun pop music. And at the end of the day, it succeeds the ideas and the aspirations it had, but it doesn't really push past that to be its own self, really. Keep in mind, though, of course, if you tell me this right now, this is a 7. I enjoyed it.
I'll give it a 7. I really like it.
It's a short listen. Doesn't really stay long. It's only 37 minutes. Holds my attention, but I wish there was more something for me to return to, really, besides that Slow Tie track. Okay. Are we professional?
No.
Are we the professionals?
Yes.
Actually, no, because that's Mad Lib and Ono. Time to go over the latest Mad Lib and Ono album, The Professionals. Mad Lib and Ono, two legendary...
Just two brothers making music, having fun. This is the only thing that they've made. The only thing they made. Mad Lib's a legendary producer. His most recent project was with Freddie Gibbs on Bandana, which came out last summer, and it was a great time. What a good time.
We'd be silly to not mention other projects like Mad Villainy, Shades of Blue.
I wasn't actually going to mention
The Unseen,
any other projects.
Pinata.
No, this is the only one.
Alabama, Montana,
Nebraska,
Banana.
Foreign environment. Well, Ono is best known for composing the soundtrack to GTA 5.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
But then also last year he was on an album with Blue. Blue and Ono present a red, hot, long, hard Los Angeles summer night.
A red, long, hard, throbbing,
Los Angeles summer night. That reminds me of the tweet. Have you seen the tweet that just keeps getting tweeted? It's just Mike's hard penis. It's probably tweeted like every day from the same account. I don't remember what the account is.
But Blue produced some of the most ambitious production I heard last year. That really incorporated an entire soundscape of LA, which I thought was really impressive. Even though I was not Blue, oh no, but I was not in true thrall with Blue's performance. I think the storytelling and the production and the atmosphere helped. I think on this, it's a really interesting environment because it's Mad Lib making the beats and it's Ono rapping. When I heard the concept of Mad Lib and Ono getting together, I thought, oh, two brothers, they're gonna come together and they're gonna splice some beats.
Probably gonna wrestle.
Yeah. Madlib's gonna be at the NPC, and the blue, or I keep on saying blue. Oh no, tells them to get off, and they Mom said it's my turn on the NPC. But I was hoping it was more production based, and then we got Ono rapping, and it's not super interesting to me.
It was kind of underwhelming.
He's not bad, but there really isn't anything special about him. And like the features we get LZ of Slum Village. Is that where he's from?
I think so.
Yeah. He was around when J Dilla
research
was gone, right? And then we also get Chino XL and A-Dub on here as features. This thing just seems very bland lyrically. I think the production's good. It's solid. It's not Madlib's best by any means.
I think Madlib's definitely pulling his weight. I really like his very intoxicating. I don't know. I had a word for it earlier. I can't remember. Just very like trippy, disorienting is the word.
Hazy
beats, hazy, yeah.
It kind of all
very characteristic together of Madlib, but I don't know. Not saying Ono can't hang, because obviously it's his brother. He's doing fine, but his rapping, his style, his stories, like they just don't enthrall me in a way that Madlib's production can do, like on its own.
Even like when Madlib like was doing Quasimodo, I think even though it was like not the best lyricism, at least it was like character. And
that wasn't Madlib. That was just Quasimodo. A different guy. You got the wrong guy.
Two different people. I'm sorry. But Ono on this is just kind of bland. Kind of the same vein of Blue on the last record, except he doesn't have a narrative or like a huge soundscape.
Right. He doesn't have that kind of like. I guess crutch is a good way to put that. When that was a concept album, the L.A. Night or whatever. That was a concept album about like this big story being told, but this one doesn't have that. Doesn't have that to lean on.
Also, it feels really fucking long. It's only 44 minutes. It feels like way over an hour.
I feel like it's the same thing like over and over. I like a lot of the like vocal samples, like movie samples they use from this. Especially like at the very end, they're talking about like it's almost like they're at a show talking about like white people are very patient. I just think that skit is so funny. If you don't listen to any other skits, listen to the very last one at the end of Dishonored Valor.
Dishonored Valor is probably the only point where any like lyricism kind of like seems like it has any like true nuance or ideas.
I actually didn't like that track when I first heard it. I much preferred something like Timeless Treasures, Superhumans. But I think Dishonored Valor might be like one of the most poignant tracks on here. It talks a lot about the military and getting like. I guess there wasn't really like a message behind it. It's just like talking about the military and like the kind of institution that's been set up here in like America about like the military and like feeding off of poor people basically, and talks about like, oh, I've had friends that were in the military and they got dishonorably like discharged because they were smoking weed or something. And he was like, well, I would have done the same thing.
And also it could set up people with PTSD. It could set up to only live after they're honored as a soldier, only to live a life here as like a drug dealer or a gangster.
Right.
So like it really doesn't improve a lot of the scenarios.
It's just very interesting. The chorus I found to be like, it's very catchy as well. Madlib does a great job on the beat, and Ono does a really good job on the chorus. It sticks in my mind all the time. Talking about like, oh, if you want to be a gangster, if you want to be a killer, if you want to be nobody, join the military.
Yeah, it works. I think also at the same time, throughout a lot of this, there's nothing that really ties any of this together besides the production. But it isn't like one solid space. It's just the production really nicely flows into the next track.
I also found that weird because like the rest of this is like very like braggadocio.
Yeah.
Ono just kind of talking about himself the majority of the time. And then the very last track, he's like, you know what else I hate? The military.
I just felt left wanting way more than was on here. And I think... I don't know, the Madlib portion was fine. He still has better production than this. But he was the one pulling his weight on this.
Yeah.
Ono is just not really compelling as a solo artist, as a front man.
I don't know, I found that disappointing because like going into this, I almost had like a preconceived notion that it wasn't gonna be like super hot or anything.
Yeah.
And then when I got into it, I was like, it was a little disappointing.
Yeah.
It was disappointing even when I was expecting to be disappointed.
Yeah. Keep my scores for your time meaning list right now. This is 5-6.
I give it like a 5.
Yeah. And I think that's it. I think that's it for this week. Next week we'll be back with more jokes about putting bananas up your foreign region. Is that what it is?
Area.
Foreign area.
You can be all you want to be.
Until next time, you can find.
Anthony.
Until next time, guys, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Anthony and Todd. You can find us youtube.com/The Anthony Todd Show. You can find us patreon.com/The Anthony Todd Show. And you can find us on Stitcher, Podbeam, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, and Spotify by searching The Anthony and Todd Show in your favorite podcast service. And until next time, guys, I'm
Vincent.
He's
Trevor.
And we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye, everybody.